How's it going, guys? I'm Connor from Running Warehouse, and today I'm joined by Sasha, Senior Manager of Athlete Performance. We are here at the Adidas Athlete Performance Lab. And Sasha, what we're gonna do today is the full athlete testing process. We're gonna go through each step and see how you guys build the fastest shoes in the world. Can you break down what we're gonna do today and what goes into building these shoes?
Yeah, we are in a lucky position to have a state-of-the-art lab here where we can really dig really deep into some of the main reasons why certain shoes, certain characteristics help athletes perform as good as they can. So it's going to be a mix of biomechanical and physiological assessments. We're trying to measure performance metrics that are typically physiologically defined, and then try to find some biomechanical explanations why these physiological benefits exist. So during the scanning, we really try to capture as detailed as possible what are the circumferences of certain body segments, like your thigh, your shank, what are the lengths of your legs, what is the foot shape specifically, how long is your foot, how wide is your foot, are the differences between left and right side. All of these aspects, anthropometric characteristics, is something that we really want to capture as detailed as possible.
And how is the lab testing process different from a true elite racer versus someone like me who is more just running competitively and a little bit more for fun?
It is actually very, very similar. We're trying to provide the same experience to all our athletes. And you will see after Road to Records, we'll have the pleasure to host up to 25 elite athletes who are competing on Saturday, and then will be here with us for another 3 days of testing, and they will basically do the exact same testing as you're doing today.
Now behind us you can see the treadmill, but that's just one small component. There's several rooms that have lots of devices, lots of scanning. What is the full process? Where do we start?
So we start first at introducing the athletes, of course, to what it is that we are trying to do with them, just to give them an overview of the test that we're going to do, and then we go into scanning our athletes to the most detailed level, and then we're going to go into a typical warm-up protocol. After that, based on the warm-up protocol, we can determine the running speed that we're going to have our athletes run at, and then we perform biomechanical and physiological tests. So those would be typically sub-maximal, below threshold running trials.
What are you looking for during the treadmill testing process?
Yeah, so we typically compare different shoe conditions where we systematically change a property after the other to really understand what is the impact of a certain footwear characteristic on the overall performance of a shoe and also on the athlete.
Now I know we have a few shoes to test today. What do you say we hop on the treadmill and then come back to look at the results?
Sure, let's do that. Okay, Connor, you now finished your 6-minute running economy trial, so maybe let's have a look at the data.
Yeah.
We have here the rate of oxygen consumption plotted over the 6-minute trial that you were running at, and what you can see in the beginning, your oxygen consumption goes up really quickly, and then eventually it plateaus. And then when we compare shoe conditions among each other, we would then focus on a certain time window towards the end of the trial when you have definitely reached steady state, and then focus at this specific window and compare the values across shoe conditions. And some of these performance metrics would, for example, be the rate of oxygen consumption and as well as the heart rate, and which you can see here. And then basically the more efficient shoe will have a lower number, which will then indicate to us that you really reacted well to one shoe condition over the other.
So when doing a test like this, how do you go about assessing what pace you're going to run at? What heart rates are you looking for? What are the key features that you're looking for during the testing process?
So we would like to have the running pace being as relevant for, let's say, if we're looking at marathon shoes, then it should be as relevant to marathon paces as possible. However, it's important for these comparisons that you are below a certain threshold when it comes to speed and exertion levels. So this is what we focus on during the warm-up, for example. We made sure that your respiratory exchange ratio is below a certain threshold, because if you are above a certain threshold, it would mean you're basically burning other sources of energy than just oxygen, and then the comparison between shoe conditions wouldn't be valid anymore.
Now, when we're comparing shoes, like today, we went through 3 different shoes. What are some of the key things you look for, and how important is it to take those long recoveries in between to have consistent conditions?
It's important to have a long enough of a recovery so that there's no accumulated fatigue effect when we compare between shoes. On the other hand, we don't want these breaks to be too long, because otherwise the comparison is also unfair. So we found a good sweet spot there, I think, today, which allows us to compare the shoes that we're interested in.
Now, the most recent shoe to come to market, the fastest, most innovative shoe, the Adidas Evo 2. What a fantastic shoe. Can you tell us a little bit about the testing process with that shoe, with both elites and, myself testing that today?
So, I don't know if you were here in the lab last year during Road to Records, but it's basically a similar comparison that we have done for the Evo 2, both mixing our elite athletes as well as more recreational or sub-elite athletes into evaluating that shoe. So it's also been a mixture between physiological and biomechanical assessments, a mix of running on treadmills, a mix of running outside, because we also wanted to get information on how well the shoe performs outside of a very controlled, highly sterile lab environment.
The final component of the testing is going back and talking with the Adidas team and giving our actual personal feedback. How important is that for, really weaving all the metrics together and finalizing how good a shoe actually is performing?
Putting all of these different sources of information together is key at the end of the day. And there's a huge team in the background that you don't see here in the video that is working really hard live right now to process your data and analyze your data so that we can inform the next generation of our most elite running shoes.
Well, thank you, Sasha, for giving us the full lab breakdown. It was really cool to see every component and go through the actual testing process that the elites go through. And I like to think that I'm a small part of building some of the fastest shoes in the world.
You definitely are, and thank you for being here, and I hope to see you again next year.